Reform MP Richard Tice has unleashed his fury on a MSM reporter in an interview, and it's safe to say he got his point across. In today's video, we will watch and react to this, all whilst going over all of the latest headlines from across the country. But first, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and join our fast-growing community. Just a quick one to say we do have new one-tier t-shirts available on our website. Go to britishstand.com or check the link in the description. So have a watch of this.
Do you believe in man-made climate change?
Look, climate change is real, has gone on for millions of years, always will. The arrogant naivety of people who think that you can stop the power of the sun, stop the power of volcanoes.
But about man-made climate change.
Hear me out. Yeah. But there's no evidence that man-made CO2 is going to change climate change. Given that it's gone on for millions of years, it will go on for millions of years.
Hold on, so you're saying there's no evidence that man-made climate change is changing CO2, is that what you're saying?
So how did climate change happen before man-made CO2?
What is it that the vast majority of experts who believe that human activity has impacted climate change since the Industrial Revolution, what is it that you know that they don't?
I've read the International Governmental Panel on Climate Change's report, and it says if you get to net zero tomorrow, it'll make no difference to sea level rise for between 200 years and 1,000 years. In other words, they've not got a clue and it won't make any difference. We're being lied to, we're being misinformed, and we've got the courage to say to people, we've got to stop this nonsense. We all care about the environment, we all care about the countryside. That's why I don't want pylons blighting our countryside. That's why I don't want solar panels on it.
But that same panel that you were talking about, the UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, said human activities are the main cause of climate change. Do you agree with that? That's a yes or no question.
No, that's absolute garbage, and I've just proven it because the climate change for millions of years before man-made CO2, they are lying to people, and the Norwegian government's own equivalent of our ONS has recently produced a report along the lines of what I'm saying there's no evidence based on the real data that proves that suggestion.
The overwhelming scientific community.
There's masses of debate
say
on
that the rate of
I can give you a list of 1,000
climate change since the Industrial Revolution has been vastly exacerbated by human activity. Do you not agree with that?
No, I don't. I can give you a list of 1,000 experts and scientists and professors, including...
That is a real minority.
No,
why are they right and not the majority?
It's not a minority. There are loads and loads of scientists. There are loads of scientists who are terrified to speak because they won't get any research funding if they tell it as it is. There's so much money in the vested interests who are trying to push this agenda on us. It's got to stop. Only Reform UK is going to stop it. And do you know what? We're leading in the polls. Maybe the British people are starting to realise we're talking the truth. They know they're being lied to.
So NASA, when they say human activities are the primary cause of global warming and climate change, the UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, human activities are the main cause of climate change. They've got it wrong.
So President Trump has just been elected with a massive majority to lead the US, and he adopts our position. Maybe actually the American people, when they've been given a vote, they've realised that people like NASA, part of the establishment, they're wrong, and actually President Trump and we are correct.
So do you think we should trust experts generally?
I think there are experts and there's vested interests, and then there's people who tell the truth. The problem here is that money is driving the vested interests who are making fortunes out of the renewable industry, and it's decent ordinary people who are being ripped off, paying higher bills, higher cost of living, and we're telling it as it is. Scrap net zero, you'll have lower bills and a lower cost of living.
Do you think you're in line with the public, though? Because the most recent...
Clearly, we're going up in the polls. We're literally leading in the polls.
On this particular issue, because the majority of the public, according to the most recent YouGov poll, back net zero.
If you ask the same people, do you believe... Yes, we believe in the countryside and looking after the environment, but if you ask those people, if net zero is going to give you higher bills, higher cost of living, do you want to pay an extra £400 or £500 before tax every year because of net zero, when we only represent 1% of CO2 emissions of the world? The answer very quickly changes. If you ask the right question, you'll get the right answer.
In other news, more than 9% of NHS referral letters had to be translated into foreign languages last year, according to new government data. The figures show a dramatic rise in translation requirements, more than doubling from 3.78% in 2020-21. The data was revealed through government transparency rules and reflects the number of translations needed through the NHS England e-referral service. The increase suggests a significant shift in the language needs of NHS patients over the past 5 years. Urdu was the most frequently requested language for translation, accounting for 15% of all translated referral letters. Bengali emerged as the second most common language for translation, followed by Polish in third place. The figures were obtained through written questions to the government by Reform UK MP Rupert Lowe. This is as good an estimate as we've managed to extract from the government on the number of people in the country who can't speak English, said Lowe. He noted that these figures only reflect those without functional English skills, not including the many foreign nationals who may be able to communicate in our language. Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp strongly criticised the NHS translation services, calling them a total waste of resources. The overstretched NHS should not be spending money translating letters for people who have come to the UK without bothering to learn English, he said. Philp emphasised that people moving to Britain should learn English rather than rely on taxpayer-funded translations. It's time to end mass immigration. These figures show that many immigrants are not integrating. Numbers must be very dramatically cut, and we must insist on proper integration, he added. The Conservatives have called for NHS translation and interpretation services to be completely shut down. Rupert Lowe called for greater transparency from the government regarding non-English speaking residents. If you live in England and can't speak English, don't work, refuse to integrate, the question has to be, why are you here? What benefit are you providing to the British people, he said. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch recently announced plans to tighten residency requirements for migrants. Under her proposal, migrants would need to prove they had worked without claiming benefits or using social housing for at least 10 years before qualifying for indefinite leave to remain. Reform UK has pledged a one-in, one-out migration policy, effectively proposing to freeze net migration. The party is currently polling ahead of the Conservatives according to recent figures.
Lastly, Donald Trump has vowed to support legal action against Prince Harry if the Duke of Sussex is found to have lied about drug use on his US visa application, sources have claimed. The US president, who previously said he would not deport Harry, has now vowed transparency and will back legal proceedings according to sources close to Trump. A source explained, President Trump has made it very clear that if Harry is found to have not told the truth on his visa application, then he could face prosecution. If Harry answered the drugs question truthfully, that would have triggered a visa waiver process whereby he would have been interviewed and given a waiver. If that is the case, the public has a right to know. The source added, President Trump has said he won't deport Harry, but there is no doubt he would support a prosecution. The development comes as a Washington think tank continues its fight to uncover whether Harry received special treatment during his visa application process. Judge Carl Nichols has ordered details of a secret in-camera meeting between himself and Department of Homeland Security lawyers to be released to the Heritage Foundation. The development marks a shift from his initial ruling that all documents should remain private. What is interesting is the judge admitted holding a secret meeting with lawyers for the government without telling lawyers representing Heritage. That is highly unusual, if not unprecedented, the source continued to tell the Mail on Sunday. Anyone found to have lied about drug use on a US visa application could face up to 5 years in jail, a fine, or deportation. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comments section below. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.